Oh, the murmuration. It begins again. It begins again. I love it. It's it's like watching little birdies fly in. Hello,
Yes.
everybody. How is everybody this year?
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Yay, all your smiling faces. Woohoo! I'm still eating, so I'm not going to put it in the chat, but I'll tell you, onion rings and a burger. I was telling Ryan, who is with us at San Diego, I see you're on junk somewhere here. Um, I didn't eat junk food there the whole week, but now that I'm home, it's like junk food heaven. Actually, I have to go for a PET scan. Has anybody had a PET scan before? I hope not, because it's something you don't, it's not a good sign if they're doing a PET scan. But I had to have a baseline before I went through my treatment, and then they give you one every year. But what happens is it's attracted to the cancer attracts sugar, and the PET scan reads your sugar concentrations throughout your body. So it can see where the cancer is. And so it's one of those things. They tell you you need to do high protein for like 24 to 48 hours, no alcohol, no sugar stuff. You have to low carb, high protein for a period of time to try and get your natural sugar levels down to a level where if there is a spike in a certain area that they can see that spike. So I'm glomming now so that I can eat all my carbs tonight, and then tomorrow and the next night I won't have to worry about it. So welcome for those of you who I have never met, and there are a few of you who are joining us from some of the other camps. And I'm Dr. Mimi. I am the state program director for all of the camps across the state, but I also was responsible for getting the virtual camp set up in 2020. So starting way back, how many people here were at the virtual camp? How about this? How many were not? Anybody not at the virtual camp at any point? Like one, two. I know that there's a handful of you that were not at the virtual camp. And this is a very friendly camp. There's no competition for worrying about if you don't understand something. Everybody's here to help everybody else, and so I think you'll be very pleased with that. I am going to record this for people who are not going to be able to join us, but I'm looking at why I can't move this. I'm going to go ahead and record it. So let's hit this. I guess I am. No, I am recording. Okay. I had been.
Yeah, I think it was already recording when I came in, it said it.
Okay. Okay. And
Yeah.
did you all see the note that was up there and said, sorry, we sent you to the wrong meeting. This is the right meeting kind of thing. Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get it up in enough time. So at this point, I'm just going to hand it off to the camp directors who are Tara and Suzanne this year, and they're going to take it away.
Yeah. So Tara, before I start with the training tonight, would you like to say anything?
Honestly, yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. If you're returning, so good to see your faces again. It is so insane that summer rolls around so quickly. And for those who are new, nice to meet you all. Oh, yeah, I never get used to that. Um, just a little intro. So yes, Suzanne and I are serving as your co-directors this year. So anytime that you guys receive a lot of emails from us in the past like few months, that's all through Camp Dog. And anytime you have any concerns or issues, or even just like moments of celebration, feel free to share with that all throughout camp and just anytime during this whole process. But honestly, I think that's it. I don't know how long the intro should be, but I'm ready to get started, Suzanne.
Yeah, so welcome, as Tara said. Tara and I are super excited to share with you some changes that are going on for the camp this year. So we'll share a new notebook that we created, which I think will help make everything easier. So tonight I'm going to handle most of the training for the robotics portion. And then tomorrow night, Tara's going to take over the workshop session. So if you're a workshop coach, you'll be hearing a lot more from Tara tomorrow night. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I also put the training slide deck as a link in the chat. The reason I did that is because there are live links, and so it will automatically take you to some information that you might want or need next week when we start camp. And so it's there kind of to support you. So let me share my screen and I will get started. All right. I just have to rearrange things to kind of start it as a slideshow. This will be easier. So next week at camp, what I'm hoping to do is every day we'll have some introductory slides. Tara and we will start off the sessions, or else we might empower actually one of our coaches to lead and maybe start you guys off. But I have inspirational quotes this year, and they're all throughout the notebook, just to kind of give campers more of a purpose as to why they're there and make them really excited about the STEM experience we're going to give them. So tonight, even though we have so many young coaches in the room, I know some of you are 14, 15, and then other of us are adults. But just remember with this quote, when you lift up a girl in STEM, you're not just opening a door, you're building a bridge for the next generation to walk across. And I just think that's so fitting for what we're trying to do in the virtual setting. And so I just wanted to start with that quote tonight. So to get started, I want to go over just an agenda of what I'm going to talk about tonight. So I want to go over the camp schedule. I'll go over some of the changes that were made to the robotics portion, not a whole lot, but we are not partnering with Qualcomm as much. And so a lot of the Qualcomm part of the camp got removed. And so we are now using STEM lingo, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. And we really want to focus on the SDG, or the Sustainable Development Goals, throughout the robotic portion. And so I'll explain that as we go as well. I'm also going to share your breakout. So you could see what breakout number you will be in and who you will be coaching with, and whether or not, as you should know by now, but if you're going to be a social coach or a build coach. I'm going to review some expectations. Tara has created Zoom backgrounds, so we're going to share the Zoom backgrounds with you. I want to review the robotics part list, go over the notebook and daily instructional slides that will be available to you. And then we do have a social media coordinator need. So I'm going to have Tara talk about that a little bit when we get to that point. And then we're going to open it up to build and coding help and support. And then Ryan, who's here with me, she's going to do some instruction on STEM lingo for those of you who will be leading that session. And so just to kick it off, this is actually in the notebook. So I just did a screenshot, but this is what a typical day at camp will look like. Now, most of you have gone through the virtual camp experience. Mary asked you to raise your hands, and I think I counted about 5 or 6 who went to an in-person camp. Well, this camp looks similar to in-person, however, it's all virtual. So we do have a morning session, which is our robotics and innovation portion. So in the morning, we will be doing the hands-on robotics lesson with servos and LEDs. And the whole intent is to design and build around a sustainable development goal that your team in your breakout room comes up with. Then we will have lunch break and inspiration hour. And we have some great speakers this year. Our afternoon workshops, which will, if you want to participate in those, remember, attend the training tomorrow, and we'll talk more about the afternoon workshops, which will be centered around science, engineering, technology, and math. Then the campers get about 2 hours to recharge, to eat dinner, and then we come back at 7:30 for our campfire connections. And this year we have some great speakers as well. So remember, that is open to anyone that would like to participate and come in and just be there with the campers. So you are all welcome to join us with those sessions as well. Some of the camp expectations that I need your help in sharing with our campers. And I mean, this is good for us too, right? We need to make sure they are logging in on time and making sure they're registering each day so that they are able to be on time. And so encourage your campers when you have them in your breakout rooms to log in a few minutes early so that they're ready to go when we start. I already mentioned register early for all Zoom sessions, so nothing slows them down. And we really want everybody to use the right Zoom name format. And so what that is for the campers is just the first name, last name, and then breakout room number. We really want to encourage them to put their breakout room, because if we have any hiccups with putting into breakout, we can just look and just add them quickly. And so that way we don't have anything that slows us down, because the time goes very quickly in the morning. And then if you could just reiterate to campers about respect, on Zoom, we want to be on screen most of the time, right? So we can see brilliant ideas and your lovely faces. It's hard to engage with people if you don't have a face to look at. And so, for our coaches, we want you on Zoom and being able to show your face most of the time. I know sometimes you might have a Wi-Fi issue and you might have to close down your camera briefly. Just let them know. Just say, hey, I have to shut down my camera for 1 second. My Wi-Fi is having some issues. But for the most part, whenever you are speaking, make sure your camera is on. And then encourage campers to stay muted unless it's their time to talk. And I'm going to go over more with the social coaches in a second with expectations, but we really want you to encourage your campers to discuss and engage and communicate and speak up with confidence any of their ideas. So the naming convention of the coaches is very similar to campers. It's going to be your first name. So mine would be Suzanne, my last initial S, and then my role. So we have used BAC, which stands for Build Adult Coach, or Social Adult Coach, SAC. But if you're a junior, that means if you're not 18 yet, you will use Build Junior Coach, BJC, or Social Junior Coach, SJC. And so we would like you to have that for the coaches naming conventions and then your breakout room. So at that point, do I have any questions before I move on to schedule? And you can unmute yourself and ask. When I have the slides up, it's hard for me to see. And so if you want to ask anything, just feel free at any time to raise your hand or just unmute and interrupt me. That would be the best. Okay, so schedule this year, our Sunday night orientation. We are going to, in the main room, go through the camp fundamentals. So what I just went over with you with the daily schedule and with the expectations, we are going to go over with campers. But we are also going to review the parts list. And we'll probably do that in the main room, the parts list. And then when we go into breakout rooms, if any camper can't find something, we'll have you take notes of that and then let us know. And we will also talk about kind of the theme with introducing innovation and the SDGs. And then in breakout rooms, something that's going to be a little different is we are going to do the REASIC, which stands for, realistic, artistic, social, enterprising, conventional. So I'll go over that in a second, but you will lead that in a breakout room, and then introduction slides, the Codename Me slides. And then the opening campfire will be a mafia game. And so if any of you want to come back after our initial orientation to come back at 7:30 for that mafia game, we would love to have you. Okay, so this is the week schedule. You will receive this by the end of the week with links to the activity. And every day I'm going to have instructional slides to kind of help you navigate. If you don't have a document camera, or if you don't have a way to kind of show your screen. But the notebook, I think, is going to help out a lot this year because you could just open it as a PDF and share your screen to campers and go through the notebook with them too. But I'm going to go over that in a second. So how we read this is Monday, Tuesday here, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. On Monday, anything in the pink will be led in the main room. And so, for example, the welcomes and the recap and morning review, that will be led by Tara, myself, or another coach that we have asked to lead an activity. The yellow will be your responsibilities. And so, for example, the Codename Me slides right here, you will have introduced this task on Sunday evening. And then what you guys are going to do is you'll go into a breakout room and then do introductions. And so the social coach will be responsible for that role of making sure everybody's engaged and introduced. And coaches, I would love for you to put together a slide as well. And I will show you in a second where you can access to actually create your slides for your breakout room. Then we're going to go through our robotics sustainability, sustainable development goals, Internet of Things. We're going to review hardware kits, Arduinos, LED circuits. Something we added this year is circuitry basics between parallel and series circuit. So I will review that when I get to the build coach support. And then we actually have a game, and it's called Crack the Circuit Game. And so kids can play that in your breakout room a little bit. Tuesday, we're going to go through the LEDs, servos. It's going to look different than the Qualcomm notebook, but I'll go over that. Wednesday's primarily engineering, design, and build. And same with Thursday. So they're going to have a lot of time to build and construct this year. And then Friday, they will put together their presentations. They are going to upload a video to a new platform called Waldo, but we'll work with you on that a little bit more throughout the week because we're still trying to problem solve some of the Waldo stuff. So this is the robotics schedule in a nutshell. And like I said, links will be on here and shared out to you by Friday. Okay. Do I have any questions so far? Pretty easy. I mean, very similar to what we've done in the past. Okay. Don't feel bad if you need to interrupt me and ask questions. So that's why we're here. On these slides, these are our breakout rooms. Some of the breakout rooms do have 3 build coaches because we had a lot of coaching interest this year. And down here, you can find a PDF of all of the breakouts. So you could click down here where it says camper breakouts, and it takes you to a PDF. What we are encouraging, if you are an adult, because we have to have an adult in the breakout rooms with each of our campers, We're encouraging you to take on more of a mentor role for the junior coaches this year and really empower them on learning how to be better build coaches and social coaches. And so if you are one of the adults, we would like you to help us train up some of the junior coaches that haven't been a build coach or social coach before. And so that's how we'd kind of like that to work this year. As you can see, campers, we have about 7 or 6 campers per breakout room. So this is breakout 1 and 2. I'm going to go through and you can find your name. So
just a comment before you go very far, just a comment. We are moving a couple of these around. So don't,
okay.
yes, so we do have to do a little bit of movement on some of them.
Okay. And we can share that out. Like I said, you have the link. And so as those changes are made, we can share.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to point out too is up on the top where it says interested focus. The campers did a pre-survey and they told us kind of an interest area. So we basically put the campers into breakout rooms based on similar interests. So when they're doing their sustainable development goal, you as coaches keep in mind, like for example, breakout room 2, they said they really wanted to create like maybe an app to help people. So how could that be turned into a wearable tech device? And what sustainable development goal might that connect to? And so you already knowing that the campers in your breakout room have that similar focus will help you to get their ideas flowing a little bit. So breakout room 1, their focus is air pollution, global warming. 2, we already covered. 3, breakout room 3 wanted to focus on birds, ecology, fish. Breakout room 4 is city services, food waste, ag. And you can see the names. Hopefully I don't go too fast. Breakout room 5 is coding STEM, 6, education. Let me know. I'm just going to kind of scoot through. Breakout room 7, again, we do have some overlap, and that's just because we had quite a number of campers, but they were interested in trash and food waste. Same with 8, fire was a big issue with the campers this year. And then breakout room 9 was more focused on just general robots. And so you can look through further if you missed your name under the camper breakout list. Any questions on the breakouts? Okay. This brings me
Suzanne,
yeah.
so sorry. So we have a bit of people saying that they don't see their names on the breakout list. Just an FYI to everyone here, we'll have the most updated list coming out in a bit. We're still making some changes, like we said before, with edits. So if you don't see your name, don't panic. We'll keep your name down for checking that and then let you guys know.
Well, the other thing that I need to make sure that some people understand, they only signed up to be a workshop coach, some of them, and so they will not see their name on this list.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yes, that's true. If you were just a workshop coach, I wouldn't have put you as a social or bill coach.
Right.
Yeah.
This is strictly the morning breakout room.
Oh, I do see what if I want to. What you guys can do, especially because we were short on adult coaches, if you are 18 or older and you want to be a builder social, put your name in chat and we can look at that so we know if we can actually add another breakout room and go that route. So we have some time and some flexibility. Okay, before camp starts on Sunday.
Yeah, I'll keep a list so we can talk about that too after. But yeah, that's
Okay.
just what I wanted to know.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so going on with social and build coach expectations. So the social coach is primarily there to lead the REASIC activity, which is really girls understanding what their strengths are, what their career interests, where it may lie. You're going to facilitate introductions and icebreakers. We want you to guide the sustainable development goals selection. Lead daily check-ins and reflections. I like to call it like whip arounds or, just ask a question and have every camper in your room respond, just to do daily check-ins and to make sure people are feeling comfortable and engaging. So it really encourage that participation in group discussions. I do think our camp challenges will help with that, and I'll go over those in a second. And then your job will be to support presentation prep and delivery. So as they're prepping to do the video on their invention, you will be guiding that presentation prep. And then also take photos, and you'll be responsible for making sure they do their daily camp challenges. The build coach is primarily responsible for circuits, components, STEM terminology, the servo setup and coding. They will guide the virtual building sessions, help campers troubleshoot builds, offer feedback on technical progress. And there is some overlap. I'd like the build coaches to also participate in taking photos and making sure we're meeting those daily camp challenges. And we'll go over resources in a second. So I just want, because I'm talking a lot, I would like you guys, for those of you who have done the virtual camp before, how can you make your breakout room more fun and engaging for campers? And go ahead and feel free to unmute, or maybe Tara, you could help me call on anyone who raises your hands. But how can you make your breakout room more fun and engaging for campers? What are some things you have done in the past that really engage and inspire the participants to interact?
I guess I can speak up.
Yeah, speak up.
This is Cheryl. What I did, a couple things. Make sure that they all introduce each other and say something at the beginning of the breakout. What are they doing that day, just to get them started talking. And another thing that I don't know how you guys think about this, but a couple of the girls really wanted to play music while they were working. And so I learned a whole bunch of new music that I hadn't heard of before. And that did seem to perk things up.
Yeah, that is why that's perfect, Cheryl, because I put a music symbol on here. As the campers are building, last year, some of our coaches said they created a playlist based on what the campers in their rooms said were their favorite songs or favorite artists. And so music is a great way to engage, especially when they're building. You could have some fun playlists going on, and that way you all feel like you're a part of something and not just singled out in silos. So that's great. Any other suggestions? Okay, well, I'm going to give another one. Have you guys ever done this or that? Like hamburgers or hot dogs?
Yeah.
Right? And so this or that is just fun to throw out, my social coaches. Just if it's quiet or you don't feel like you're getting a whole lot of response, play a this or that game. Or would you rather? And so those are really easy icebreakers in a virtual setting that doesn't need a whole lot of support. And I will put together a list for you and then share it in social resources, social coach resources, so that if you feel you need a little more engagement, you could use any of these strategies to get you going. So thank you. All right. So this brings me to daily challenges. And I know I'm going fast, but that's just because of time. I want to respect all of your time. So we are going to do daily challenges. The first one is the code name me. And this ties into what Cheryl had just shared with having the campers introduce themselves. So in the past with Qualcomm, I think it was called the All About Me slides. So we switched this up a little bit. And on Sunday, you will introduce this challenge to the campers. And so they will have to put their slide together by Monday, and they'll actually introduce themselves more on Monday. But for my social coaches and build coaches, and I'm going to just click on this link, this is what it looks like. I would love for you to find your breakout room. So if this is you, like if you're breakout room 1, I have slides for all your campers already. So these are for your campers, but you could go up here, right? Kind of in between and just create a new slide. So you could just go slide new and then create one about you. And what we're doing is more of a collage. In fact, let me pull here. Let me just pull up something real quick. As an example, I should have had an example up, but we just did something similar in San Diego. So was it on Monday, Ryan? Yeah. So in San Diego, here are this is what they did with their All About Me slides or Codename Me. And so just basically pictures or a collage of things you like that you can share. And then so you could show on Sunday evening at the orientation to your campers, this is what we want you to do. It could be drawings. It could be a picture from the internet. And here's one with another coach, Maddie. And so you could see she has her artwork and her animals. So things that reflect who they are. And then when the campers introduce themselves on Monday, you'll go through their slide after introducing yourselves on Sunday. Does that make sense? And so you'll have these slides available to you for that. Again, some of this might change if we rearrange the breakout rooms, but we'll make sure it's all set up prior to Sunday. So any questions on Sunday's camp challenge? All right, Monday is choose a team SDG goal, and all of these are going to have corresponding slides. Now, I am still in the process of putting these together, so they will be linked and you'll have access. But this is just for each breakout room. You're just going to share, your team's SDG, why a community problem that you care about that might be connected to that sustainable development goal, and then why it matters to you in your breakout. We are actually going to do a share out of your team SDG goal in the main room using those slides. And so you can choose either a camper or it could be a coach that does that share out. On Tuesday, you're going to create a team name and a tagline that represents your focus. So the tagline could be a jingle. It could be anything creative that you want to do in your room. And that's what I mean. The camp challenges should help with engagement. So you'll have time to go, okay, you guys, our challenge today, we have to create a tagline. What's something that rhymes? And you can have the kids interact and come up with that. On Wednesday, we want you to take a team photo in your Tech Trek tee. On Thursday, it's a goofy team photo using items from around their homes. So we want you to encourage the girls to find anything silly that they could put on and then take a silly team photo. And then you'll post that onto a slide deck that we'll share out. with everyone. And then on Friday, it will be a final group photo with the girls holding their inventions. And then we want to encourage you, there's a contact list or a networking list in the notebook. And we want you to encourage the girls, hey, write down names of campers that you've met, or here's my contact as a social coach or a build coach. I'd love to connect with you this year. And so we want kids to think about building out their networks. And that contact list doesn't have to just be from the robotics session. It could also be from the afternoon workshops and the evening campfires if they've met someone they've really connected with. And so that's going to be the daily camp challenges. So this brings me to the Zoom backgrounds. You can look at Tara. Tara has her screen up. And she has one for the state leadership team. Our social coach and build coach will be using these Zoom backgrounds. And so all you have to do is click where it says click here. And that will pull you to the folder with the Zoom backgrounds. And then you could download it and install it into your Zoom so it's all ready to go for next week. This helps us to identify, our social coaches and build coaches, especially when you're doing your camp pictures. Any questions on the Zoom backgrounds? All right. So parts list. You should have received, if you're a build coach, you should have received a STEM lingo kit and everything that's kind of listed on the robotics parts list. And then you should have also received some of the things found here. If you're a workshop coach, those are separate supplies that we'll go over more with you tomorrow. But I do believe that Mary even sent out social coaches some of the build. Did you do that, Mary? Did we send out some social coaches so they could train?
Workshop coaches got STEM lingo. Because
okay, so not everyone today.
Afternoon, right?
Okay.
And so we do have workshop coaches here, and the main reason that they are here is for the STEM lingo discussion, because they are going to have to lead that in the afternoon.
Okay. And Ryan will be leading that with you in just a second. We're almost done. So the STEM lingo component for my build coaches, even if you don't have the STEM lingo kit, I'd like you to kind of familiarize yourself by looking at the manual that's linked to this slide deck. Because we really want to encourage campers this year to not just use an LED and servo, but we also want them to try to use maybe their buzzer out of their STEM lingo kit, or maybe their ultrasonic sensor. And I'll go over that in a little more detail in a second. But we'd like for them to kind of expand on what they could use to create their invention. All right, so this brings me to the notebook, and these are both linked. I am just going to pull up the staff notebook, but there is a blank student notebook here. And then the staff notebook has all the answers for code that you might need to lead the camp. I encourage you, if you can, print it out. It would be so nice to have a printed copy. And if you have a document cam, you could write on it as you're going through with campers. You can encourage campers, and we are going to send an email reminder out for the campers to also try to print that notebook. But everything is in it day by day. And so this PDF, what I mean by that is we have broken it down into, you could look at the table of contents on the first page, but I'm just going to go in past our welcome. Okay, Sunday. So Sunday, what I like about this is the notebook is divided by days of the week, and it has everything that we're doing for Sunday in the notebook, for Monday in the notebook, etc. And on it, we have our checklists. And so the checklist will share like materials that the campers need to get started for that day. It will tell them what they need to attend, And then it also has that team challenge, which this one, right? Their first team challenge was they had to create a Google slide about themselves. So when we go through our Sunday slideshow, it's going to mirror the notebook. So we have our agenda, our expectations, the REASIC. This is what our social coaches will be leading. And so I encourage all the coaches to take the REASIC. It's different than the one we used to do with Qualcomm. And that's because we don't own the rights to Qualcomm. So we had to create our own this year. So on this page, it actually tells them what it means for REASIC, the difference between realistic, investigative, etc., why this matters. And then the quiz is here. So all they have to do is mark 1 if it's not like them, or 3 a lot like them, and then they will add up their tallies for each section. And that should give them their overall REASIC. Now, in the past, we've done the 3, like their top 3. On this, we just did the 2 top highest scores, like what are your 2 top REASIC types. However, if they have a tie, you could have them write in a 3rd one. And so that just gives them a little bit more information about what type of careers they might connect to. And so we encourage, and you'll be doing this on Sunday evening, walking through all the questions. The slideshow mirrors this, and it can lead to some really good discussions and interactions with the campers. And so down here where it says careers to explore, you'll have them circle, like if they're just circle any of the careers that might sound interesting, and then have them reflect. Did those careers that you circle match your top REASIC scores? And if it didn't, why or why not? Like really make sure the students or campers are reflecting upon themselves. Then the Codename Me, there are some questions that we want the students or the campers to answer about themselves, similar to like what we did with Qualcomm. And then they can use this to create their collage slide. And so you can encourage them to do that. There's a place where they can draw about themselves, and they could even scan that in and add it to their slides. And then there's some instruction on the Google slide for them. So going into Monday, just so you guys see, we also have the checklist. And then it goes down to the robotics challenge. And again, it's different than the Qualcomm notebook. So I encourage you to go through and read it through. There are instructional slides on this to help, but the sustainability portion we'll do in the main room. I do have some videos that we will be showing. And so I'm just going to go through this kind of quickly. IoT, so we are going to want them to still connect to an Internet of Things wearable tech. And so that's still there, but it looks different again because we created it. And then down at the bottom of page 16, it's an example of what an invention might look like connected to an SDG. We are going to go through the hardware kits again. All the answers are on here. And I'm not going to waste much time going through, but all of the answers are on the notebook regarding the code. Now, when you go through the series versus parallel circuits, note it says we'll review a main room. So we will do this in the main room, but where the light bulb is, where it says play crack the circuit game, we're going to give campers time to see if they can play that game and figure out the different circuits. And this is going to tie into an afternoon workshop in which they build the constellations with copper tape. So it will really help them understand the difference between parallel and series circuits. We're going to go over the coding environment, etc. Now, this is all similar to what we did at Qualcomm. And then as you can see, What's great about this notebook is we have the inspiration hour, so they can take notes on the guest speakers. They have their afternoon workshops listed. And so you can see that all the materials are here that they're going to need. And then it goes into, their other afternoon workshop. And then it goes down into the evening workshop where they can take notes. And then it leads us to Tuesday. So you'll be only concerned about the robotics portion unless you're a workshop coach, but you could see how it's different this year. What I want to show you is once we get through like the LED blink, it changes a little bit. What we wanted to do is really make campers think about coding this year. And so there are some challenges. So like right here with the mastering motion with servos, it actually, if you read through this with your campers, it tells them exactly the code and what they need to do for the pre-setup, the void setup, the loops. It explains the differences between positional servos and continuous, but then it gives them challenges. So based on their knowledge that they've now gained, we give them challenges to plan a motion sequence. So this is kind of like a challenge we want them to do. So choose 3 angles your servo will move to. So we want them with a positional servo to move it, and to move it again. And so we want them to write their code using what they've learned. So I put samples in there of what you can do, and you can see there's 3 codes in during the void loop. So it's moving to 3 different angles. You could totally do it different, depending on your comfortability. But notice how, like in the void setup, we have our parentheses and our curly brackets. So I thought it would be so much better for campers to have to write that, because those are the things they always forget. They forget the curly brackets, or they forget the semicolons at the end of their line of code. And notice I put comments all throughout. So they'll have to write, what's going on. So they really understand the code. So those are some things that have changed. And I encourage you to look through. And if you have questions, reach out to me. I can hop on a Zoom with you if you need extra help in order to really make sure you're understanding as a build coach. And so that's what's going on there. I'm just going to zip through. Our engineering design process is on here too. It gives a lot more information on it. And then we go through the robotics challenge. And so there's things that you can read. And again, I encourage you to kind of look through the whole entire notebook and see what's changed. At the very end, right here, our contacts, making connections. This is the list that I was referring to. Encourage your campers to write down names and make connections during camps. I think that will help with the virtual setting. And it's funny, my daughter Ryan here, she met her best friend through a virtual tech camp. So you can tell the girls, hey, I met this person and we're still friends, because I know some of you have made really good connections as well. So I know I have talked quite a bit on that. There are going to be instructional slides. I have not done all of them, but like I said, they mirror what's going on with the notebook. So these will be in here for every day of the week. You can use them, build coaches, if you don't have a document camera, or you could pull up the PDF of the notebook, or you could use the slides. So there's different options depending on your comfortability and how you would like to teach the build portion to campers. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tara so you hear someone a little bit different, unless there's questions on the build. And I do have some more build resources in a second. But this is all regarding a social media coordinator need.
Yeah, thank you so much. And just to answer some of the questions that are happening in the chat, we're doing the best we can to answer them. But yes, if you're curious about what you've signed up for, you need a little like refresher on your roles, yes, you can go into CampDoc and log in and see your application. There should be the roles checked off. Um, just to transition over into the social media coordinator need, I am looking to train someone right now for this camp. It would be amazing if you are interested. We have a lot of work we want to do throughout the camp where it's whether it's taking photos, even if you are not a social media coordinator, we encourage all social coaches to definitely take photos throughout any of the sessions, whether it's anyone like holding up their Arduino boards or making sure that people are being engaged. So definitely having the cameras on are going to be really helpful. But anytime you're in the afternoons too, if you have dual roles, please take those photos and send them to me. That'd be really great. But I am training someone who's interested in social media coordinator. We have a lot of specific tasks, for example, compiling the videos, or just managing the uploading parts of that for the showcase that's happening on Friday. We just want to make sure that everything was running smoothly, and having a person specific for this task would really be helpful. So if you're interested, please send me an official email. That'd be really nice, and I'll talk to you then too. So yeah, and I'll turn it back to Suzanne if you have anything in addition we were looking for.
Awesome. No, that was it. You did great. Thank you, Tara. So if you guys are interested, make sure to reach out to Tara on that. All right, so build coach support. There is a folder of resources I have put together. Even though we are not partnering with Qualcomm, they still had really good instructional PDFs. And so that's in here. But there are also some videos that some previous coaches have made. So for example, like using copper tape for a build, because the students or campers will have copper tape. So they used copper tape to connect their inventions with LEDs. And so this is really good, showing the difference between a parallel circuit and a series circuit. So my build coaches, if you're like, I wonder how to do that, we'll watch those videos. There are also, so any of these are all videos. This is a video with programming 2 servos at once. We have a PDF. If you have a camper that wants to use multiple LEDs, you could actually share this PDF with them, or you can look through it and then instruct them how to use the multiple resistors to make sure their LEDs don't zap. This one's on LED and servo. We have circuits, LED circuit and blink activity video link. This is a great video. I'm just going to click it real quick. This is a really good video. I had to link it here to YouTube, but it's really good for you if you are just starting with understanding LED circuits and how to get it to blink. It's a great resource. And so I would look at that one if you need help. And so go through this folder. Everything that you need is in here. And so with that, before we move on to STEM lingo, I'd like to just open it up for questions, just really quick. Do our social coaches, do you feel comfortable with what has been presented? Is there anything more that you need from us? And then build coaches. Are there anyone who needs additional support or additional training? You do have all those resources to help you, but I can make an additional training for anyone who needs extra support. So don't be afraid to speak up if you need help, because I know we do have some younger coaches this year. How do you all feel?
Excuse me, for the apps, do the coaches need to download anything, or is it just the campers?
Depends
for,
on if you're a build coach or a social coach or, so if you're a build coach and you are operating on either a Mac or a Windows-based PC, laptop, whatever, you will need to download the IDE from the Arduino site. If you are operating on a Chromebook, you will not need to because it will be done via the cloud editor. But if you are either a build coach or a workshop coach in the afternoon, so the STEM lingo is also going to require some coding with the Arduino.
Okay, and for the Arduino, which version do we download for Windows?
It depends on your version of your operating system. If you are in a